I made a nighttime shimmery scene with inks and stencils. Hey everyone, it's Joy here and welcome to my channel. Okay, I'm starting with my background. I am using Tim Holtz Moon Mask. I'm using the medium size mask and I'm going to do ink blending. This is on an A2 size piece of mixed media white cardstock. I am using Uncharted Mariner to start off with. Then I am bringing in chipped Sapphire and I will also add some black soot. So I'm going to get a nice good blend around our moon. So I mentioned that we're going to make this shimmery background with ink and stencils, which is what we're going to be doing. And I'm going to add some sparkly stars. We're going to add some sparkly splatter and it's going to be beautiful. Okay, I'm coming back in with that Uncharted Mariner over the chipped Sapphire, not completely down to the bottom of the cardstock, just where it meets so I can get a really good blend. And I'm going to add more of that chipped Sapphire around the edges. And then I'm going to finish off with that black soot. I think black soot's important, especially when you're making like this nighttime sky, because it brings in that darkness to these already darker inks. And then I'm going to bring in that blue blender tool that I'm using for the blue ink and just kind of blending over the black soot. In my splatter box, I have the Falling Stars stencil from Tim Holtz. I am spritzing through that. I'm holding it down with my hand, and so it did get messy. And I'm spritzing Distress Spritz Fossilized Amber. I'm going to lay this gently over this one side and get this other little side and spritz that just a little bit. Look at those beautiful stars. I love those. Now for the moon, because remember we masked this off, I am going to be using Scattered Straw for the background and I'm going a little bit over the edge into the blue, just a tiny bit. Then we're going to come in with that little stencil for that same size moon and I am using Fossilized Amber Distress Oxide ink to add the details to our moon. Now I do want to add a little bit of splatter, but I really kind of want it mainly on the moon. I'm letting a little bit of it come out past the moon, but not over the whole card. But this whole card is shimmery because of that Distress Spritz. This is the hot air balloon die from scrapbook.com. Now at the time of filming, it is a freebie from scrapbook.com with a $30 purchase. So you can go to their website, buy something, and then add, once you're spending over $30, you can just add this to your cart. I do have everything listed and linked for you below, and all of these products that I'm using can be found at scrapbook.com. So, and this week is their sizzling days of summer. They have a lot of freebies, a lot of deals, a lot of good things going on. So I would say you definitely want to check out their website. I have ink blended with Shaded Lilac. This is the centerpiece of the balloon. And then obviously I'm using the Falling Stars stencils to add a little bit of star detail to this balloon. I love that this is going to be a nighttime scene. You could use this for a lot of types of cards. I just think it's really pretty and fun and kind of different. There's our centerpiece. Then we have the full balloon and we are going to use Wilted Violet to ink blend that. I'm just going to clean off my brush, but I had a hair on my rag and I was not happy about it. So I'm going darker around the edges, lighter in the center. I did the same thing with that other part of the hot air balloon just to add a little bit of detail. And I'm just going to lightly ink blend that in the center and then bring that stencil right back in and stencil these stars, going darker with the ink blending so the stars will stand out. Super cute. Now for the fun, beautiful swags and the basket, I am using Fossilized Amber, and I'm not going to add any spritz to that. I don't want that to be shiny, but I did want to bring in more of kind of that gold tone. I'm adding 1mm foam adhesive to that center piece of that balloon, and I'm going to line it up at the top in the center, and at the bottom it has this little rim that you want to line up at the bottom as well. Then I can start adding my other little elements. The basket here, I'll add some liquid glue and then just pop the balloon on top right there. Now, you can just add one of these swags. That's kind of really how the design is set up, but I thought 2 would be fun and a little something extra. So that's why I did 2. But the first one on the design itself fits just like that. I am adding the second one that's up a little bit higher. So let me add a little bit of liquid glue right to the center. Sorry, my head is in the way. And then place that down. And look at how darling this balloon is. I think it is so cute. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of the black soot. I did not add any more ink to my blending tool, but I am adding a little bit to the outside of the balloon. It gives it a little more of a pop off of that background, which I think is really cute, especially when it's against the moon, and I think that turned out nicely. I did trim down my card panel about 1/4 inch on all sides. I'm distressing a little bit with my scissors, and then I will bring in my blender tool that has the black soot on it and go around the edges of that. And in the middle of this design, I decided we needed some clouds. So I am using the Nested Stitched Clouds die from scrapbook.com, and I'm ink blending those with Uncharted Mariner, going a little bit darker on the outside, lighter on the inside, and I have 2 sizes. I think these are the 2 of the smallest sizes of the dies in that die set, and this added that little something extra. So I'm going to adhere these down. Now, before I add my balloon, I do want to add my sentiment. I am using the Reach for the Stars sentiment. I forgot to record my stamping, but I stamped it with clear embossing ink. I prepped it with an anti-static powder tool. I sprinkled on gold embossing powder and then heated that with my heat tool. I used that from the Shine Bright stamp set, and it says Reach for the Stars, which I thought was really cute for this card. I have some 1mm foam adhesive behind my balloon, and then I'm adding gold glitter pops of color to the centers of those little circles on the swags. And this will be adhered to a white A2 size card base. And look at all that shimmer and shine on the background from that Fossilized Amber Distress Spritz. We've got the gold embossing powder, and of course that hot air balloon is so darling. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you feel inspired, and I hope you have an amazing day.